Great, so we're going to start with opening statements. You guys get 2 minutes. So we're going to start with Jenny Pasillo.
Thanks, Melanie. Thank you, everyone. It's so amazing to be here in Mechanics Hall. My name is Jenny Pasillo, and I'm running for City Council District 1 because I want Worcester to be a place where kids, families, and seniors can thrive. I'm a neighborhood association leader. I work part-time as editor of Pulse and CM Pride magazines, and I'm a stay-at-home mom in Burncoat. I'm also in the League of Women Voters, and I sit on the city's Citizen Advisory Council. I grew more involved in the community when my partner Nate and I bought a home in Burncoat and started a family. I ended up going back to school and earning a master's in public administration so I could better understand how to engage in municipal government and make a bigger impact. It's also not lost on me that I have the potential to become the first female District 1 City Councilor in Worcester's history. My top 3 priorities are quality of life, responsive constituent services, and city planning. I decided to run for office because I'm passionate about making a positive impact on the lives of those in my community. I want to be a strong advocate for the values that matter most to us, ensuring that our children have the best opportunities and residents have the support they need. I led the charge for greater engagement and transparency in city council meetings, and I will be a committed public servant who puts the needs of the community first. I am proud to have earned the support from members of the community and unions, including the Massachusetts Nurses Association, the Carpenters, SEIU, and EAW. There are a lot of people in this city who are doing the work every day, helping their neighbors, and they don't get the credit. It's the quiet things we don't see that make the city work, and I'm here to look forward to building partnerships and supporting all residents. District 1's neighborhoods are vibrant and diverse, and as your next counselor, I will be a voice for every resident, whether you live on the west side in Burncoat on Lincoln Street. Thank you so much.
Next candidate will be Dave Peterson.
Good evening, and thank you to the Worcester Regional Research Bureau for having us here today, the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, the Worcester Chamber of Commerce. My name is Dave Peterson. I came to this city in 2002, and I did that through my media connection. I graduated from Syracuse University with a degree in television, radio, and film, and it was media that brought me here at my first job with WXLO Radio. That was a job that taught me how to deal with small business owners. It taught me how to deal with many of the nonprofits that are in the community, being out there doing toy drives and food drives. And it also taught me a work ethic, a job that didn't pay much, where you're working 7 days a week. I had an apartment in a 3-decker on May Street, and then finally by 2008 I had saved enough money to buy a house. And right after that the market crashed. But I still live in that house today on Indian Hill. One thing that I've seen about this city, it's grown in so many different ways. And the reason that I decided to get involved is because of my business background. For the last 10 years I've run the Worcester Bravehearts baseball team. It's got me intimately involved with things like minimum wage and tax rates and working with the Worcester Fire Department, the Worcester Police Department, and getting into our Worcester Public Schools, where we started a literacy program that incentivizes kids to earn tickets by reading books. We started a pen pal club that connects senior citizens to our elementary age students. We give free food and free buses for those kids to come to our ballpark for field trips. And now I'm entering the public sector. I've done a lot with customer service, but now I'm going to focus on constituent service. And one of the real things that I want to focus on in District 1 is making sure that those constituents are heard, that I get back to them in a timely fashion, by phone or by email. And my name is Dave Peterson, and I'm always rooting for Worcester.
Next opening statement will be Robert Bellata.
Hi, thank you everyone. Thank you to the Chamber, Telegram, and Worcester Research Bureau for putting this together. My name is Robert Bellata, and I'm running for Worcester City Council District 2. I've lived in Worcester my entire life. I've been a District 2 resident my entire life. For the past decade, I've worked as a disability rights advocate here in the city of Worcester, helping residents improve their quality of life, helping residents learn how to helping young adults learn how to live in our community, I've always had a real passion for serving the Worcester community, and again, I've done that over the past 10 years. I've been on the Worcester Access Advisory Commission. I served on that for 5 years, and I also am currently serving on the Worcester Human Rights Commission. So I really see, Worcester growing and want to make sure that we continue to focus on our neighborhoods and our residents and make sure that, Worcester grows in a way that benefits everyone. I think as a disability advocate, I see that there are challenges in our city with infrastructure, with public housing, with housing, affordable housing. I think there's more we can do to make sure all of our residents are thriving in the city of Worcester. That's really what my goals are. I live with Becker's muscular dystrophy. I might have lost some abilities, but I've never lost my sense of self-worth, my drive, and my love of helping people and the love of the Worcester community. I'm running for Worcester City Council District 2, and I hope to have your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Next candidate will be Candy Merrill Carson.
Thank you, everyone. I'm here tonight proudly serving my 4th term as a Worcester City Councilor. I'm running for re-election. I'm someone who grew up in this city. I've lived in this city my entire life. I've worked in the nonprofit sector a good piece of my life. And I proudly sit here tonight before you to say that District 2 has 38% of the parks that are located here in the city of Worcester. Again, 60 parks, 38% of the parks are in District 2. And we have had over 17 parks since I've been elected that we've done some additional work on. I'm also proud to say that there isn't a neighborhood in District 2 that I haven't worked with and done the work that needs to be done with all of the neighborhoods and making Worcester a better place for everyone. 8 years ago, when I first got elected, this city had just become a city that was a city on the move. And with my colleague, Judge Russell, serving on the Public Works Committee, as well as he served on MO with myself, as well as on economic development. This city is moving in the right direction. We certainly have some challenges here in the city of Worcester, and one of those challenges certainly is housing and homelessness. And I look forward to working on those issues as we have over the past couple of years. Thank you for having me tonight.
Next opening statement will come from candidate Fana Jatan Singh.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. My background is I grew up in North Carolina. My parents are from Trinidad and Tobago. I went to college at Johnson & Wales University in 2003. I was married to my husband in 2004. In 2007, I became a mom. I have 4 children now. I became a homeowner in the city of Worcester in 2010, so that's when I came to Worcester. And I became a real estate agent in 2017. I was a substitute teacher for the past 10 years at Abbey Kelly. And the reason I decided to run is because ever since I became a homeowner in 2010, I've noticed that the city of Worcester has a lot of issues with unpaved roads, no sidewalk. I see a lot of kids walking on Sunderland Road going to school on a daily basis with no sidewalk, and that's what motivated me to want to run. Since 2013, I've been putting in petitions. They've been thrown out. I tried to have a meeting with the city manager. I was not able to, and that's what motivated me to pull papers this year to run for city council so that we can make positive changes happen in this city. There are many, many things that are not getting done that need to be getting done, especially in our district, and that's why I'm running today, so that I can represent the people of District 3 so that we can make positive change happen in our side of the city. Thank you.
Hi, my name is George Russell. I'm a 6th-term incumbent District 3 City Councilor. But before I was a District City Councilor, I was a volunteer member of the Planning Board, one of the people that helped write the zoning ordinance that's still in place today. I was a past president of the Lakewood-Sycamore Neighborhood Association, the Lakewood-Sycamore Watershed Association, I should say, which is a neighborhood association. I served 2 terms on the Democratic State Committee representing Democratic ideals. I have a 100% roll call vote in the Worcester City Council. 100% roll call. That means every time a vote was taken in the last probably 8 years or more, I have made every one of those votes on the Worcester City Council floor. I show up for the people of the district, and I do my job. You know, I wish that as a city councilor that I personally could say yes to everything. Yes to everything, that every request that came in every day. But we have to look at the big picture. What's in the best interest of the city? And I think I've done a real good job of trying to do what's in the best interest of the people of the district and what's in the best interest of the people of the city. I ask you for your vote as I seek re-election. Thank you.
Next will be candidate Katia Norford.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Katia Norford, and I'm a candidate for District 4. I'm running because I've been here for more than 20 years. With my husband, we built a family, a beautiful family with 2 beautiful girls that go to the public school. We also have a business, Carlitos Barbershop on 925 Main Street, and we also became a homeowner. So this district, District 4, has given me the opportunity to build my life in here. So I'm very grateful for District 4. After I came here, we decided to get involved in the community. So I became part of the Main South Business Association 4.5 years ago. That Ibero Almeida, through the TDI, developed in the area of the Main South. I'm the secretary there, but to see the difference between the business owner, their capacity that they have to engage to one to each other, and see their different perspective, helped me to get engaged and help them even more. I'm also part of the Main South CDC, that I know many of you know that they've been doing an awesome job in the field of equity in the housing crisis that we have. There I can give my ideas and help our community to become better. I'm also part of my church. I'm a club director. I work with kids from 3 to 10 years old, helping how to achieve in life, how to become better. So all those things made me to run now and say, why not to help and be the voice of my district in a bigger scale. Those times made me crazy. So that's why I'm running. I just want to become the voice of my district, and I want to see a vibrant district that we have to become better.
Next is candidate Louis Ojeda.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. I sit here before you today not just as someone looking for a seat on City Council, but as a resident of Worcester who grew up in District 4. I'm a living testament to the dreams that can be achieved right here in our community. District 4 needs a leader who will connect with many resources as possible to uplift our community. It's about building strong, vibrant neighborhoods and empowering people to take ownership of their lives. I'm committed to being a leader who listens and supports our residents and store owners. It's important to remember that District 4 is not only defined solely by its challenges. We have pressing issues to address, including homelessness, drug-related problems, and violence. I've witnessed these issues for over 40 years, and it's time for a change. We need to put District 4 on the map for all the right reasons. We can set an example for the entire city, showcasing the beauty, vitality, and potential of our district. We must remove the negative mindset that held us back for far too long. District 4 is a place of life, and we should celebrate. We need to create more opportunities for residents and enjoy their neighborhoods without living in fear. We need to foster a sense of community by organizing block parties and neighborhood gatherings. We must build strong, lasting relationships with our police force, recognizing that they too are our neighbors and they have seen our struggles that we face. I'm here for the people of District 4. I want to show them that we support their dreams and provide them with the tools to thrive, not just survive. I want our children to grow with the mental freedom, which means detaching labels, dropping the expectation of others, and simply being who you are. Children must know they become anything they dream. I'm committed to ensuring that every child in our district, regardless of their race or ethnicity, can become the best version of themselves. In closing, I want to work together with you to shape the future of District 4. Together, we can create a brighter, more vibrant, and inclusive community for all. Thank you.
Next introduction will be candidate Atal Hajii.
Thank you so much to the organizers. Thank you to all of you for coming out. My name is Etel Hajii. I am the District 5 City Councilor. By day, I work as the policy manager for the National Healthcare for the Homeless Council. It would be my absolute privilege to serve the residents of District 5 for a second term. I am really ready to continue building on the successes of these past 2 years and do more together. From Webster Square and Mill Street, Columbus Park to Park Avenue, Newton Square, Technical Square, and Salisbury Street, I invite you, the District 5 residents, to join me in figuring things out together, big and small. Caring, showing up, acting have defined my first 2 years in office. 3 months in, I convened a meeting with the residents of the Mill Street neighborhood to talk about Big D, traffic, and pedestrian safety. 3 months later, I led a safety walk on Stafford Street as I comforted a grief-stricken mother, father, a family whose 5-year-old daughter was killed crossing the crosswalk on Stafford Street. A few months later, I stood with 100+ residents of the apartment building at 267 Mill Street as they were getting evicted 48 hours after their building collapsed. This past May, I supported neighborhood efforts to raise funds for Worcester Flower Shop and Newhall Furniture on Pleasant Street, whose livelihoods evaporated in the Pleasant Street fire. In partnership with the city manager and his wonderful staff, I worked to rezone the Big D parcel on Mill Street and proposed designating it as a TIF zone. The derelict building finally got demolished last week, a step in the right direction. And the Mill Street Improvement Project, it's in its final stages. Working with neighbors and the city manager's clean team and the Worcester Green Corps, we held 3 neighborhood cleanups. And motivated by residents who lost their homes, I established Worcester's first emergency fund in partnership with the city manager. I have responded to over 500 resident issues through emails, calls, and neighborhood meetings. I want to keep working with you to continue ensuring that our tax dollars reflect investments in all of our neighborhoods.
Thank you, Atal.
Thank you.
And we'll close the opening statements with candidate Jose Rivera.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the Research Bureau for putting this event together. And congratulations to every person sitting up here for making the sacrifice of running for public office. This is not easy. Tonight, my oldest daughter has senior night at South High. I can't be there for her, but she knows I'm there in spirit. Those are sacrifices we got to make, sacrifices we're all making. But when you want something, you have to work hard, and you have to really be willing to fight for it. I'm ready. I'm ready to fight for seniors living on fixed incomes by considering a freeze on property taxes for residents 70 and older. I'm ready to fight for the safest possible roads and sidewalks. I'm ready to fight for our public safety servants to demand and expect accountability and transparency while making sure they have the staff and equipment to do their job to the best of their ability. I will be a friend to small businesses because I believe they are the lifeblood of any community. They create jobs, provide needed goods and services, and with business growth, we will grow the tax base and ease the burden on all taxpayers. I will walk into City Hall my first day as City Councilor with a great appreciation for all the responsibility placed upon me by my voters. I will always remember that this year's your seat, not mine. I will be your voice, and perhaps most important, I will never stop working to move the city of Worcester forward and make District 5 a desirable place to live, work, play, and go to school. I will always fight for that. I am the moderate, common sense candidate in District 5, and I will always fight for you.
Okay, we're going to move on to question 1. This is for all of the candidates. Please pay attention because it is a 3-part question, so it's kind of long. And it's on compromise. So, in setting policy directives for the city, a majority or supermajority vote is often required. Do you feel that the council is performing effectively? Is there room for a compromise in the council? And finally, give an example of how you would or have compromised with a colleague. And we're going to start with candidate Peterson.
Thank you. One thing that people often tell me about the city council right now is that it's very cliquey. Okay, and the reason I got into this is to actually make sure that I'm hearing both sides of an argument before I make a decision. And I work for a small baseball team, as I said before, that does not have a $160 million stadium that was built for it, but I have compromised by working with a baseball team that has come into this city, because as right now, I'm the head of the Worcester Sports Commission. If this city's going to be successful, businesses like the Worcester Bravehearts and the Worcester Red Sox need to work together. When I'm on city council, I will make sure that I don't enter into a decision already pre-made. I need to hear both sides of an argument. That's why I surround myself with people who have disagreements with me, because they guide me on what I need to think about. I'm Dave Peterson, and I'm always rooting for Worcester.
Next is Jenny Pasillo.
Thank you. I mean, we need to work together. So you might not always agree with your colleagues. I don't always agree with my partner, but at the end of the day, we sit down, we have a conversation. I look at his point of view, he looks at mine, and we work things out. You can't always get what you want. You do have to compromise. As for my professional life, have I compromised? Yes, I was a waitress for about 15 years, and that is a job built on compromise. So I would be compromising with customers, trying to make the orders right, to be easy on the kitchen, easy on the bartenders, and just make things work. And as a counselor, it's important to me to hear all sides of the argument, do my homework, and work well with my colleagues. Thank you. I'm Jenny Pasillo.
Candy Merrill Carlson.
Yes. So there's been many times on the city council that we've had to compromise, and someone like myself had to compromise. I tell people all the time that when I first got elected, this city was not a labor-friendly city. With the work of Mayor Petty and myself, some of my colleagues, we've been able to have a much stronger TIF policy. We've been able to have a much stronger wage theft policy. We've done a tremendous amount of work on the ballpark. When the ballpark commission came forward, that was also someplace where I had to compromise. But again, I believe in that, and I've worked tirelessly with my colleagues on the council to make sure we're doing the right thing by the people of Worcester. Thank you.
Robert Bellata.
Yes. I don't think the council sometimes compromises enough, and I'll go further to say I don't think the council always listens to our residents. I think it's important that while you're in public office, that you're and while you're setting policy, to consider all the stakeholders in the community. In my professional life, I work at Easter Seals, Massachusetts. I've developed several new programs at Easter Seals. That includes working with agencies like Mass Rehabilitation Commission and Center for Living and Working. So in developing these programs, I've had to compromise on what I think would be the best option to move the program forward, or different initiatives. So I think it's important that we continue to on council, continue to compromise and make sure that we're doing what's best for residents. Thank you.
George Russell.
I think in my opening statement, I forgot to mention that I'm in the real estate business. I've been in the real estate business for like 30 years or more, as long as I can remember. And I'd be broke if I wasn't able to compromise. Real estate, that's what I do. I bring people together. That's what I've done all my life in my business, and I've tried to do it in the last years as a member of the Worcester City Council since serving. For me, it's not right or left, it's right or wrong. I take a look at every specific issue, and if you look at my voting record, it's hard to track, because I bump from conservative to liberal on some kind of specific issues. You wouldn't have a TIF policy if George Russell didn't come up with some of the words, and if it wasn't my idea in the first place to have a TIF policy put forward. That's what you do to get things done. I get things done in City Hall and in the neighborhoods.
So I believe the first part of the question asked, do we believe the city council is performing effectively? I would say no, because there are many items that have been held, postponed, put off. that have not moved forward for years. So I would say no for the first part of the question. Am I willing to compromise? Yes, I am willing to compromise, and I too am in real estate, and I have had a number of transactions, and to get through any real estate transaction, there is a lot of compromise. You have to agree on the price, you have to agree on the terms, you have to agree on the conditions, and then sometimes when you do the final walkthrough, and then you see there's holes in doors and windows that weren't there before, then you have to come back and compromise again on, okay, we can get this to close, but somebody's gonna have to pay for the damages that we saw at the final walkthrough. So a good example of that would be, like he's just mentioned, in my real estate, we've had many, many compromises to be able to get our transactions to close. And I too get things done. I'm a mom, I have 4 children, they're in multiple activities, and I make sure my kids get everywhere they need to be every day, even though we have buses that don't run on time and are not effective, so I have to do all the driving back and forth, and I make sure I compromise when sometimes my kids want a play date, and I said, no, Mommy has to go to a forum. So, thank you.
Louis Ojeda?
Yeah, I would say that, what we've seen as far as council goes, there's definitely issues of compromise. And I think that's something, in order for us to go forward, it definitely has to take place. We need to compromise. It's sort of embarrassing to understand, to see that, because at the end of the day, we're all working for a better Worcester. So we need to find ways to compromise. As far as a personal level goes, I'm an educator for over 20 years. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club. Compromise is what I do all the time. But I think where I've been able to be successful in compromising is in the communities that I work in, where there's negative behavior going on, and I need to use some green space or a field, and I get to use that during my time and compromise with them so they can use it during their time, where we work together and understand that there's a time and place for everyone, and we want to be able to share that space. Thank you.
Katia Norford?
Thank you. For me, it's not just compromise. It's responsibility and it's commitment. I'm being compromised like that my husband says, okay, what other time we're gonna take out of me? So by being on every single meeting that I have to be, being on the Main South CDC, on the Main South neighborhood Beacon Briley, that I forgot to mention early, that I also part of the Main South Beacon Briley, and also the Main South Business Association. Just the event that we have this year, we give out around 445 backpacks. To create an event, you need to be very compromised. So I'm being compromised on everything. I strongly believe that I can do this and move forward a better Worcester and better District 4 that really needs us. And also I'm compromised in my church with all my kids. Every single Saturday when I have to go there, let my teachers to go over the schedule and teach my kids. We have right now like 35 kids, and we have very fun with them.
Thank you. Jose Rivera?
As far as the council goes, I think it's a 50-50. I think they, sometimes they compromise on issues. For the most part, I don't, and I just feel like if they compromise better, they'll be able to get more issues accomplished working together, instead of taking a hard stance on issues. That's my take on it. For me, I'm a unifier, so I just feel like compromising is my bread and butter. I'm Assistant Chief Court Officer at Dali District Court. We have to follow the policy procedures to a T. Safety is our #1 issue. And but with my employees, I make sure that we work together and we cover each other, and compromising on all issues to help each other out to make sure that everybody gets home safely is one of my main goals. So compromising is something I do every day. And I also had to compromise on my way here, My wife didn't like the tie I picked, and I picked this one, so.
Attell?
Sometimes it is very hard to find common ground on council. I think as a district councilor, I have done my best to listen to all points of views. I will take an interesting take on this question. One of the things that I found very challenging as a district councilor is that there's so many needs. There's so many streets that need repair. There's so many sidewalks that need repair. And sometimes you have to compromise because the resources ahead of you are not what what you want to please everyone in the district. But one thing that I will never compromise on, and I have a proven record on this, is on important values, the human dignity of all people, pedestrian safety, and the safety of our kids walking in our streets, as well as making sure that everybody in the district and in the city has a safe place to live and thrive.
Thank you, candidates, for being here. This question is for District 1 candidates, and it is around the Burncoat schools. Burncoat High School and Burncoat Middle School need to be completely replaced. However, the project will cost substantially more than other high schools due to the shared structure between the middle and high school. While this is well outside your individual purview, how would you, as a district counselor, advance a project of this cost and magnitude? We'll start with Jenny Pasillo.
Thank you. Absolutely. Our schools, our students, our educators, and their staff, we all need a safe and conducive learning environment. This is a shared priority. I am a proud Worcester Public School parent. My daughter goes to Thorndike. It also needs to be updated. So I'm a strong supporter of a new Burncoat High School and Middle School. I know pre-pandemic it was estimated to be about $500 million, which does affect the city's bond rating, but at the end of the day, our teachers, staff, and students should not be in a school that does not suit them. I plan on building relationships with the WPS facilities to prioritize the needs of all the schools, including Burncoat, and by fostering a strong partnership, we can work towards securing necessary resources, implementing crucial infrastructure improvements, and ensuring that our schools are equipped to provide the best possible education for our students. Thank you.
Dave Peterson.
Thank you. The master plan for the future of Burncoat High School is something that I started speaking about as soon as I joined this campaign. And it is a major project. We've got the land there, but we do have to figure out how to make this work in a $500 million budget. The Doherty High School project, we needed to approve an additional $23 million once that project got started. We need to do this with smart budgeting, first of all. Secondly, when we're going to invest this amount of money in the school, we need to make sure that we're doing it in a green fashion. It needs to make sure that we have sustainable energy there. We need to make sure that we've got solar panels, and that school is also going to be one that is vibrant for years to come, that won't be costing this city additional money as Burncoat High School is right now. It was built in 1964. We need to work with our state delegation in order to get that done. It's a huge piece of the neighborhood, as is widening the road in front of it.
Thirty-second rebuttal from Jenny Pasillo.
Sure. Yeah, I want to echo what Dave said, and green resiliency is key. This is going to save us money. It will provide green-collar jobs, and with good union labor and local workers earning fair, reasonable wages for their work. Thank you.
The next question is also for District 1 candidates, and it's around Greendale revitalization. The Worcester Business Development Corporation is working on the Greendale Revitalization Initiative, studying 250 acres of land encompassing the Higgins Industrial Park and part of the St. Gobain campus. What would you like to see from this effort? We'll start with Dave Peterson.
Well, at the preliminary debate back in August, I talked a little bit about my idea that it would be really sensational if that land could house a film studio. With the tax credits available here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it is a burgeoning industry, and it is an opportunity for us to add jobs and an opportunity for us to take that land and utilize it in a manner that not only brings jobs into the community, but it brings more flights into our airport and helps us build more hotels. It has more feet on the ground walking to support our small businesses, and it puts us on a national map. If it cannot be a film studio, we need to see what we need to do the same thing that has happened at the Reactory. We need to look at what Wuji has become, which is a project that has quintupled in size. That is what we need in District 1. Not only that, but we need to make sure, there's a school there, Abby Kelly. We need to make sure that while this is happening, that we're not disturbing the buses and the kids that are going to that school.
1 minute from Jenny Pasillo.
Thank you. So I've been attending the Worcester Business Development Corporation meetings since they first started, when they bought the 51 acres on the St. Gobain campus, and I really can't wait to get involved at a deeper level. So it's 51 acres. A movie theater sounds great, but the reality is they're most likely going to be turned into pad-ready sites that will focus on clean manufacturing, life sciences, and advanced tech. So the goal for this is to create good-paying jobs for residents in Worcester. My goal personally is to connect these future companies with the Worcester Public Schools and create a pipeline from the public schools to Quinsig, where kids can go, learn the trade, enter a job. The skill levels are going to vary from high school, diploma all the way up. And this will keep our kids in the city. They can afford homes and stay in Worcester. Thank you.
30-second rebuttal from Dave Peterson.
I just want to clarify, I'm not looking to build a movie theater there. I'm looking to build a film studio, multiple sound stages, and a carpentry division. Now, obviously, and I said that might not be something that's feasible. What we're going to do is work with the Worcester Business Development Corp and the developers that want to come into this city to figure out what the best use is for that land. And we have to consider the infrastructure around it and the exit off of 190 there. And yes, connecting the neighborhoods residentially as well.
The next two questions are for District 2 candidates, and it's about the first one, economic development. Candy Merrill Carlson, you're going to answer first. Robert Bilotta, you will have a minute to respond. District 2 is an economic engine in Worcester with UMass and AbbVie, and the reactor is soon coming online. The city will begin to prioritize new projects. Which projects or parcels have you watched more closely? What do you envision economic development to look like in the next 5 to 10 years? Candy.
Thank you. UMass and AbbVie, obviously both of them are two extremely large employers in District 2. UMass is the largest employer in District 2. AbbVie currently right now employs approximately 800 people. AbbVie right now is looking to expand, as well as Wuxi is in District 2, and I love the fact that you've used District 2 as the economic engine of the city, because it is. 90% of the projects that take place in economic development is in District 2. Wuxi, there is a partnership with our public schools to employ the folks coming out of our Worcester Public Schools. So they're working with our Worcester Public Schools as well as our colleges, and Albany Street is the next project I'm looking forward to. Thank you.
Robert?
So yeah, District 2 has, historically always been the economic engine of the city. I think UMass and AbbVie are really great employers that provide a lot of good paying jobs for Worcester residents. I think as we continue to push economic development in District 2, it's important that we, number one, don't go overboard when it comes to giving tax relief to too many developers. I think now we're really proven that the District 2 and Worcester is the place to develop, and I think a lot of developers are willing to do that. And I think it's also important that we continue to make sure that this development continues to provide well-paying jobs for our residents. I know a report that the Worcester Research Bureau put out this past year, talked about stagnant incomes in the city of Worcester. So we need to make sure that this economic development trickles down to all of our residents. Thank you.
Candy, 30 seconds to bottom.
Yes, I just want to state for the record, one of the things that I do is meet with every developer that is building in District 2, and one of the first things that I talk to them about is the wages for our people, because at the end of the day, If they're not good paying jobs, it's not good for us here in Worcester. And for me, the most important thing is for the people in the city of Worcester to be working on these jobs and well-paying jobs. Thank you.
The next question is about housing. Robert Bilota, you will answer first. You have cited street safety as one of your top priorities in 2023. A prioritization plan for the Complete Streets program was approved by Mass DOT, which identified 22 specific projects that will be addressed over the next 3 to 5 years. What are your priority projects for District 2?
So I think my biggest priority project is the redevelopment of Lake Ave that's going to be happening from, I believe, Belmont all the way down to Nonquay. I think Lake Ave, like Mill Street, has really turned into a speedway, and I think it's important that we work to make sure that we have traffic calming measures, but also make sure that it's safe for pedestrians to cross. It's a very busy, becoming a more densely populated area, and we need to make sure that our pedestrian safety is working year in and year out, and that we continue to improve, just making sure it's safe for people to navigate, whether it's bicycles, whether it's walking, whether it's someone like myself using a wheelchair, and make sure that these places that the streets are accessible. Thank you.
Candy, 1 minute response.
Yes, just want to say that in terms of the speed, the city council has been aggressively going after the speed in the city of Worcester. It's a huge problem for us, as well as the sidewalks. We have an awful lot of people who are also parking on the sidewalks, and we are working with transportation and mobility to do traffic calming measures in this city. And I'm really happy to say tonight that our Worcester Police Department certainly has been working on the speed that's taken place in this city, and Lake Ave certainly is one of those areas, as well as Belmont Street, Plantation Street. There is speeding across this city, so public safety is certainly a concern and a top priority.
Robert?
So, again, I think it's important that we, these speeding issues have been going on in Worcester for the past 4 or 5 years and even beyond that. So I think it's really important that we think proactively about these things and make sure that we're doing these things every year, and that we continue to, make sure that we just do the best that we can to improve accessibility and sidewalk safety. I think that's, as Worcester's growing, that's going to be key. There's areas of Coburn Ave, of Lake Ave, of North Parkway that don't have sidewalks. We need to do better.
This question is for all of the candidates, and it's on taxes. Due to Worcester's dual rates of residential, commercial, or industrial property tax, the setting of a new tax rate each year turns into a battle between business owners and homeowners. Businesses have said that the higher commercial rate is a disincentive to economic development in Worcester, while residents say the taxes are already too high and do not believe a single tax rate would broaden the tax base enough to lower their rates. Are you in favor of a single tax rate or a dual tax rate? And how would you approach the tax rate decision each year? We're going to start with candidate Tel Haji.
Yeah, I answered this question the same way that I will answer the same way that I did 2 years ago. I think that the discussion around the tax rate turns into a debacle, and unnecessarily so. We take a very, very narrow view of this issue in Worcester. I proudly voted for the lowest residential tax rate this past year. We had multiple challenges during COVID. Our homeowners can barely hang on to their homes. I think there are multiple ways to support our small businesses. We were just asked at the last, at the African Descendants Forum what we're doing for BIPOC and immigrant-owned businesses. I think we could expand access to these businesses. We should expand the ability for them to access capital and networks of power. And I will always stand up for the homeowners, as well as support small businesses to make sure that their workforce, which is something I hear from them, can barely afford to work in the city.
Jose Rivera.
So no, I don't see Worcester doing a single tax rate. Dual tax rate. I would say that the commercial tax rate, in my opinion, is too high. How this is resolved without raising residential taxes, I don't have a magic bullet for that, but I do know one thing, that it won't be helping if we're blocking new business growth. Actually, not too long ago, the incumbent District 5 councilor has done, she proposed new gas station market and car wash in Park Ave. The proposed gas station and market in Park Ave would have generated tax revenue and created jobs. In negotiations, the city could have required it to allow for increased electric vehicle charging stations as time went on. And that's something that we need in the state. They said that we're short charging stations. So I think the answer is to encourage smart business growth, is not to discourage it and expand the tax base.
Katia Norford.
I'm a homeowner, I'm a business owner, so I know what it feels, both ways. So I definitely agree with the flat rate on the taxes. I believe it's so high on the business part. Unfortunately, we are losing businesses, especially after the pandemic. We are struggling. Not even with the ARPA fund that we received, that some of us received, because unfortunately many of our small businesses couldn't receive that incentive. We are struggling. So a flat rate would be great to maintain our residents and also our small businesses that are the backbone of our economy. We have to bring resources and we have to look for venues to bring what we need to collaborate when it comes to that cost. Because I know that's very important because that's part of our economy, but we need to get another venues to get those resources. Thank you.
I'm also a homeowner and a business owner as well. I'm truly aware of the challenges that our residents confront. I engage with renters daily and listen to their concerns. I also recognize that taxes impact individuals differently depending on their circumstances. For instance, our business, we pay rent, right? I have a business, we pay rent for our workspace. And over the past 3 years, our rent has been increasing at least 3-4 times. Balancing these increases can be challenging, particularly when our mission is to offer affordable services. Items like vehicles, fuel, construction materials, and even tire prices can surge to compensate for these effects of inflation. So my question is, if we are dealing with a housing crisis and we increase the tax rate, but we also want to offer incentives to new homeowners, but at the same time we'll increase their tax rate. So that's something that I really would love to understand and figure out if there's a better way or a better formula for everyone.
Fiona Jiten Singh.
No, I'm not in favor of a single tax rate. I agree that businesses and homeowners should not be taxed the same. I too am both a business owner and a homeowner, and I think the taxes are too high on both sides. So I think that what we could do to increase income for the city without increasing taxes is to encourage more business growth, but also more homes. If we had more homes being built, then we would have more income from those homes paying taxes. But I think our taxes are too high, honestly. I looked at it today. Shrewsbury's taxes for their single-family homes are much less than what ours is. Ours is like 14 something per thousand. Shrewsbury's is 13 something per thousand. I think we should be looking at reducing the taxes.
George Russell.
Every year we look at the tax rate. It's a math equation, and what you have to do is factor in the assessed values. And with the increased values of the residential properties, I don't see how anyone could make the decision this past year and at any time in the coming future to not be for a residential lowest rate. That's what I voted for, and I've got a postcard up on a bulletin board in my office from the Chamber of Commerce that they sent out in my district years ago, taking a shot at me for supporting the residential tax rate, and I'm proud to support that residential tax rate, and I always will.
Robert Bellata.
So I think it's important that we continue to keep taxes low as possible for residents, like George had mentioned, with the assessed values going up. But, it's becoming more and more expensive to own a home across the country. So I think it's important that we keep our taxes low for growing families and also for our aging seniors that are, going to be heading on to fixed incomes. It's important that we keep residential taxes low for our residents. I think it's also important that we, to start looking at tax incentives or tax breaks for small businesses. There's so many like microeconomies throughout District 2 and throughout the city that I think we could do more to support and maybe help business owners grow to own those buildings, help business owners grow in a way that really benefits our local economies. Thank you.
Candy?
Yes, I've voted every single time for the lowest residential tax. I believe that the folks in District 2, that's the right thing to do. The prices of our homes have gone through the roof. So the homeowners basically in the last couple of years have really taken the biggest hit. There's several times each year that I put something on for us to look at doing something different for the businesses. And every year that goes nowhere. I think it's time for this city to look at ways in being creative for our businesses as well as our homeowners. I believe that is something that can be done. We just need to stay at it and work harder. I leave you with this, is that the business growth in the city of Worcester has never been as high as it is today.
Jenny Pasillo.
Thank you. So my partner Nate and I bought our house in 2017, and it's doubled in price. We live in Burncoat. It is not a mansion. It's a very modest house. This means our taxes have doubled in price, and it's hard. We have 3 kids, I understand. So at this moment, I will always support the lowest residential tax rate. I promise I will look at this issue thoughtfully every year. But at the end of the day, this dichotomy is not working for our city. I think we need to think outside of the box and look at other ideas, such as creating an intermediate tax for commercial landlords and LLCs who own more than 12 rented units. This does not include your mom or pop's triple decker, nothing owner occupied. I just think, like everyone else has said, we need to start thinking creatively and thinking outside the box to help residents and small businesses.
We will never fix the tax problems in this city by bickering about it on the floor of City Hall. When you say that if you're going to vote for the lowest residential tax rate, you're effectively saying you want the highest commercial tax rate. We need to look at a town like Auburn that has moved towards a single tax rate. Webster has done it successfully. In the city of Worcester, our residential tax rate is lower than Westboro, it's lower than Grafton, and yes, it's higher than Shrewsbury, but that's because all the business is going across the lake into Shrewsbury. We have jobs in this community now. The construction projects are for residential. We need construction projects for commercial. That is job growth so that we can keep people in this city. And the answer is we have to increase the commercial base so that everybody pays less. 22% of the tax revenue in this city comes from the commercial base. 30 years ago, it was 36%. That is going in the wrong direction.
We will now move on to District 3 questions. We're going to start with Fiona Jatan Singh. And the topic goes beyond just one district. We're going to talk about complete streets. In 2023, a prioritization plan for the Complete Streets program was approved by Mass DOT, which identified 22 specific projects that will be addressed over the next 3 to 5 years. What are your priority projects for District 3?
As I stated in my opening statement, number 1 would be Sunderland Road. That road is over, I think, 100 years old, George said at one of the neighborhood association meetings. Hasn't been paved that long, but for some reason, they think it can't have a sidewalk because it's a narrower road. The city can use something called eminent domain and take a little bit of few feet from one side and the other and make a sidewalk there. So number 1 would be Sunderland. Number 2 would be Haywood Street. I've heard many students that walk from North High that walk down Haywood Street. There's many parts of Haywood Street that have no sidewalk at all either. The cars are also speeding, and that's another issue there. We need traffic calming measures on Haywood Street as well as Grafton Street. After 11 o'clock, when the lights start blinking, Grafton Street becomes like a speed zone, like a speedway. People are racing up and down Grafton Street. And even though we do have sidewalks on Grafton Street, earlier today when I was putting up some of my signs, I realized down on Route 20, we have some corners that have handicap accessible ramps going to grass. There's not even a sidewalk there on Route 20. Also, I would say Lake Ave, part of it is crumbling. They need to have proper sidewalks everywhere. Thank you.
George?
First of all, my opponent is correct that I did at one of the neighborhood meetings say, and I'll repeat what I said that when Sunderland Road was built 150 or 200 years ago, that they probably, in a perfect world, they should have put sidewalks. But it's not only Sunderland Road, but what about Whipple Street? What about College Street? What about Haywood Street? What about Westboro Street? The list goes on, not only in District 3, but throughout the city. And I'd encourage folks to watch on the city website the videotape of the Public Works Committee meeting from May of this year, where we went through that and where the Commissioner of Public Works explained that because of the slopes and because of the grades on Sunderland Road, that it was virtually a project that would be very difficult to do. He put a number on it about $4.5 million. And according to the way that things are done right now in city government, those bills would be paid by the abutters. The abutters would get the bill for that. So not only would they be shoveling it forever, but they'd be paying a bill for it.
30 seconds to Fiona.
Thank you. Thank you. So my rebuttal for that is we can change the rules. The rules, even though they are written, are not set in stone. We can change it so that the city or the state or the federal budget can cover those sidewalks. It does not have to come from the homeowners to pay for those sidewalks. And that's the first thing I will change when I win this election. Thank you.
Our second question for
Do I get
District...
a rebuttal or no? Oh, no?
You get the rebuttal the next one. The second question for District 3 candidates is around trash, and George, you get to go first. In downtown area, the Worcester Business Improvement District employs individuals to address litter in its catchment area. However, despite the establishment of the city manager's clean team, trash remains an issue in many of the neighborhoods. Is this an issue in District 3? Do you feel further measures are needed? And if so, how should they be funded?
Yes, I'm constantly working with Dan Cahill and the rest of the city manager's team to address pockets of issues in District 3. Overall, though, I think that we need to take another look at the trash issue in general. As Chairman of Public Works and as a member of the council, I asked the city administration to come up with a report of how much we're really bringing in for revenue for those yellow trash bags. I think it's time. It's time for the city of Worcester to provide trash pickup without charging. I think that'll make a big difference in the neighborhoods.
1 minute to Fiona.
I agree with what he said. We need to stop charging for the trash pickup. There are many citizens that can't afford to pay for those yellow bags, and unfortunately, some of them put trash out with the wrong bags, and it doesn't get picked up, and it litters our streets. Also, for charging for the bulk items, that also ends up having mattresses and different things randomly left on our streets, especially on Granite Street, which is in our district. There is a big problem with people illegally dumping big trash, like I'm talking TVs and couches and stuff. It's really bad. So if we did away with charging people for disposing of those items, then we wouldn't have trash piling up all over our streets. Thank you.
George, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
She's right on that, and that's why I've always asked for many years, over and over and over again, and pushed the city administration to have the recycling station where you can bring bulk items available open without an appointment. I don't know why we do that, but I keep pushing for it. Councilor Carlson, myself, other members of the council have pushed for that, and we still are being told that the state would say it's a transfer station and it would need all kinds of special permits.
This question is for all candidates, and we're going to start with Jose Rivera. It's on housing. There have been a number of housing policies debated during this last city council term. How do you think Worcester should address housing affordability? Are there other policies not yet arisen that should be debated? What role does private sector and the development community play in creating affordable housing?
Sorry you threw at me a lot. Can you repeat that question again?
It was a
Sorry.
lot, yeah.
All right.
No problem. So, there have been a number of housing policies debated during the last city council term. How do you think Worcester should address housing affordability? Are there other policies not yet arisen that should be debated? And what role does the private sector and the development community play in creating affordable housing?
Well, I think the city does play a role in housing, bringing in, I think the inclusionary zoning part of the city helps out, making sure that they make enough affordable housing, but also enough market rate housing and in the middle road. I think bringing in developers to the city who are willing to invest in the city is important because one of the issues that I don't think they invest in that enough in our city is there's really nobody wants to invest in like condominiums. It's almost like non-existent, and they want to build a lot of apartments. But if people are investing into the city and not investing into homes, that I think will not only bring more tax revenue to the city, also ease the burden on the taxpayers, but also having people invest into the city is more important. So if the city can get involved more in working with developers to invest in the city, I think it's going to help everybody.
Adele?
Well, I could talk for hours about this topic, but since I only have a little bit of time, I think that one of the things that I push for, along with Rob Bellotta, was a stronger inclusionary zoning policy that would have given the city the opportunity at no cost to the taxpayers to create more affordable housing units for middle and low-income families. The majority of council decided to shut that down. I do think that I have been a huge proponent of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We need to find ways to keep monetizing that, and one way that we can do that is through the Community Preservation Act. That's going to kick in very soon. That's going to allow us to also help middle-income, owner-occupied folks to be able to retrofit their homes. Do I think we're doing enough? Absolutely not. But folks also have to remember that the city managers and the city council can only do so much. We also have the ability to go to the state, and I recently just testified on behalf of the real estate transfer fee.
Thank you, Adele. Luis Ojeda?
The fact of the matter is, honestly, we're consistently, falling short in this area. The truth is, we are facing a housing crisis, and we cannot afford to turn a blind eye to it. It's important to recognize that refugees and individuals with low incomes are not causing the crisis. Rather than, we are unintentionally making it challenging for people to reside in our city. To address this crisis, we must adopt a multifaceted approach. This involves identifying successful strategies from the past, learning from cities similar to Worcester, and fostering creativity and innovation. However, we should refrain from creating a new program every time a new issue emerges. I'm looking at this here, from time to time and notice that, our numbers are rising, and we've noticed that that our population is going to continue to grow. We should have been able to get ahead of this a long time ago because, families are coming to Worcester to live, and we should get ahead of that. So consider this proposition. Why don't we offer a tax increment financing or provide incentives to homeowners, occupied landlords, in exchange for offering reduced rents? This would also involve offering assistance to upgrade their rental units, enabling them to provide more affordable rents.
Katia?
We all know that we have a crisis right now in our city when it comes to affordable housing. So when it comes to housing affordability, for that end, I believe that we can continue to work with organizations such as Main South CDC and Common Ground. They has been covering some of those issues already. But not just that, I would like to go a little bit more further. We can also create venues with those residents that qualify with space and regulation to develop more affordable housings. We can create an intensive to help them and at the same time help with the crisis that we have. We need to become creative and we need to look with those slot land that we have to develop and build houses to get to this crisis. And we can get resources from the federal way and come up with things. We need to be creative to at least reduce this crisis. Thank you.
George Russell.
You know, the housing issues are very complex, as we all know. But I think that the city manager's team and with the guidance of the council came up with a report last night. It was on last night's agenda. I would encourage everybody to go to the city website and look at it, because a lot of the programs that some of the candidates are talking about are included in this program. Things like repairing properties, like keeping properties and rents affordable for using some of the ARPA money and some of the other programs. I came up with the accessory use dwelling idea, where we could actually use in-law apartments. That was my proposal, something I'm hoping is going to move forward. I think it's a complex issue, but the bottom line is we need more units and we need more affordable units.
Fiona?
I haven't got a chance to read that whole report, but I did skim it earlier. And yes, what he's saying is true. A lot of the things that people are suggesting are already being proposed in that proposal. But one thing that I have not heard anybody talk about is the city-owned vacant properties. For example, the senior center, half of that building is units that could be usable if they were renovated by the city. That could be affordable housing for our seniors. And the city owns that property and has not done anything for I've been here 13 years. I haven't seen it livable in 13 years. It's got all those boarded up windows. So I think the city should do an evaluation on the properties that the city has that are vacant and renovate those and make some affordable housing for the people, because we do have a crisis here. Also, I agree with Katya, we should look into the federal funds. There are a lot of funds out there. We don't have to just rely on our taxes, but we need to have people that are educated enough to reach out and get the resources that are available for our city. We need leadership in the city. Vote on me.
Candy?
Yes. So in terms of the affordable housing and housing itself in the city of Worcester, this crisis that we're in didn't just happen a couple of years ago. And unfortunately, for all of the work that we're doing right now, and there's a ton of work that's being done, Councilor Sarai Rivera stated last night, it's amazing how many new programs, and there's 14 new programs that the City Council has adopted over the last year. 14 new programs to help with the affordable housing. And there's in the vicinity of 3,200 affordable units that will be coming online. But our issue is those aren't coming online tomorrow. Those aren't coming online for a couple of years. So that's where our issue is. But this city council is working tirelessly on this homelessness and housing issue. Thank you.
Rob Bellotta?
Thank you. So I agree with Kenny. The city of Worcester and the city manager administration has rolled out a lot of programs. The Worcester Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which myself and fellow disability advocates worked on to incentivize accessible affordable housing. The Worcester Housing Now initiative, where they're going to be providing loans for lead abatement, first-time homeownership loan programs, or allowing loans for owner-occupied rehabilitation. So I think that there is a lot that we're doing. However, the city council missed a huge opportunity with passing a weaker inclusionary zoning ordinance. We could have done more for to mandate a small percentage of affordable units within all these giant developments that are happening. So there is work being done, but we need to really push the envelope. Thank you.
Dave Peterson?
Yes, I think that the city council can play a role in this. I don't believe that we're attracting the right developers in order to have the affordable housing that we need here. There's a section of developers out there. We need to attract endowments, people who want that guaranteed government check on the first of the month. We need to incentivize these developers to build more of the 60% AMI units by lessening the burdens on them in terms of number of parking spaces that have to be included with these buildings. That ties into public transportation. We'll talk about that later. But micro-housing, I'd like to look into tiny homes. It worked very well in San Jose. It worked very well in Seattle. I think that this city needs to start looking at new ways, new ideas for housing. Tiny homes are 600 to 800 square feet. That is the type of development that I think that this city needs to start looking at. We're lucky that the Home Ownership Center has reopened. I appreciate the fact the city manager has done that to make home ownership more tangible for our population.
So much like the rest of the country, Worcester is in a housing crisis. I was happy to listen to Peter Dunn's report last night at City Council. He spoke about elder home repair programs for residents 62 and up. He also detailed owner-occupied rehab, like Councilor Russell mentioned, to help rehab major systems in people's homes, such as heating, roofs, siding. I also think we need to revisit our zoning policies and create spaces that accommodate everyone's needs, such as accessory dwelling units that Councilor Russell has been trying really hard to get. That is something I would love to work on. I use this example all the time. My friend Alana's mom owns a house in Burncoat. She and her husband own a house in Burncoat. Her mom provides childcare. They're both paying mortgages. It would be so much better for everyone if she could have an accessory dwelling unit for her mom to help with childcare and alleviate her mortgage. Thank you.
The next two questions are for candidates for District 4. The first one is about higher education relations, and Luis Ojeda, you will answer first. Clark University is an anchor in District 4. With its recent expansion and on an announcement to redevelop a block along Main Street, you have mentioned how important community is to you. How would you work to strengthen relationships between Clark University and the residents of District 4? Luis.
Thank you. I think it's evident that at least they're trying. I think it's important for us to bring them to the table and for them to bring us to the table as well. They have obviously made a change on what their project's going to look like, and I think that's because of what the residents have voiced in their opinions. So I think, again, it's about compromise and holding them, accountable. They've been very helpful within the community. They've been helpful within the schools in their neighborhoods, and I think it's important for us to continue making sure that we, again, hold them accountable, but be creative in ways. I appreciate being able to make a phone call over there and speak to Joe Corazzini and him address what those issues are and how we can, work together to continue building this process. Main South is everybody thinks it's just District 4. But it's pretty much like the heartbeat of District 4. So I think it's important for us to make sure that we keep the culture and the look of District 4 going.
Thank you, Jose. Katia?
Definitely, we need to hold them accountable. That's my first thing. My business is across to the building that Clark want to demolish and build a seven-unit building right there. So I'm very concerned, even though I've been talking to Joseph Corsini. As a matter of fact, he's going to be in our meeting of the Main South Business Association meeting at the end of this month to explain a little bit more of the question that we have about that. I would like to see more compromise with them when it comes to our students that are getting, that they almost finished the school. I would like to see more input to them to get them in getting them to achieve more education, higher education. I know that they have that project, but I like to see more. I believe that the amount that they have in here, they can give more to District 4. Thank you.
Thank you, Katia. Luis, 30 seconds rebuttal.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't want people thinking that, I'm all for Clark. I'm all for Worcester. And I think that's important. Worcester, at the end of the day, Clark does have a responsibility to their students, and the world is always changing. So they want to develop, they want to change as the world is changing. So again, we want to hold them accountable and make sure they're being transparent with us, and we could be as transparent with them. And it is important to get the youth involved and understand what's happening, because at the end of the day, 15 years from now, they'll be the ones here.
Thank you. The next question is about economic growth. Kathia Norford, you're going to answer first. As a small business owner, you have spoken about improving the environment for businesses to thrive in District 4. What do you perceive to be the barriers to economic growth in your district? And what policies or initiatives are you proposing to overcome those barriers?
Perfect. One of the things that I'm very, very passionate working with the Main South CDC, we are creating right now, I don't know if you know where it says I love Main South. That's coming up. So we are planning to build a 6 units, commercial units, 6 units that are gonna be for rental to own for businesses. I'm so passionate about it because that will improve the businesses. I don't see any business owner to own the property. So that's one thing that I'm looking forward to see and work with it. We need to develop more for our businesses. We need to increase our revenue. And we need to make venues to help to our businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Katia. Luis, 1 minute to respond.
Yes, I agree. During this process, prior to this process, I became a partner of the Pleasant Street TDI initiative. And I've learned firsthand what it is to bring resources and financial support to businesses, to opening up businesses within the Pleasant Street area that has been struggling for a long time. So it's been very similar to the Main South area. And I think that's important to find other ways. The TDI is only for 3 years. So it's finding ways to get business owners, residents to understand that we have to hold ourselves accountable, but at the same time, educate ourselves. I think it's important to educate homeowners, business owners, our youth on preparing for what's gonna come, because we're here again and we need to prepare because things are coming down the road, and I think that's important. Thank you.
Katia, 30 seconds rebuttal.
Yes, again, it's very important to me to help those businesses. Again, after the pandemic, the small businesses are struggling. So we need to look for resources to help them thrive in this economy. The expenses that we have, everything is increasing daily by daily. Sometimes people don't receive the help that they need. Sometimes they don't see even a client on their door, and they have to pay whatever they have to pay. So we really need to bring resources for our small businesses.
These next 2 questions will be for District 5. We're going to start with the first question being answered by Atel Hajaji, and it's on homelessness. There have been a marked increased homelessness in Worcester over the last year, with a shortage of shelter beds and temporary shelters facing resistance by some in the neighborhood, such as the shelter at Blessed Sacrament. The City Council has directed the City Manager to explore possible solutions. What policies or actions would you propose going into another winter with high population of unhoused people?
I have been part of conversations with the city manager and a group of doctors, nurses, and healthcare providers and outreach workers who are reaching out to folks who are experiencing homelessness. We are going to have a increase in numbers of homeless. Whether you look at Park Avenue or Webster Square or the seniors that call me, people are getting priced out of the city. Investors are swooping in and buying and increasing rents. This is not just an issue that's affecting folks who are experiencing homelessness or are chronically homeless. This is an issue that's affecting people who've never experienced homelessness before. There are a number of things that we can do, but first and foremost, we have to expand shelter bed capacity. We have to take a more thoughtful approach on how we approach encampments. And the city manager has been working extremely hard in tangent with the lieutenant governor to make sure that we find some suitable spaces to house folks this winter.
I think providing long-term permanent housing for those that are willing and are able to sustain it. We have some who are unhoused, who refuse services and shelter offered to them. So the answer is what? Allow them to live in the woods, in our parks, in our private property, where public health and safety issue grows worse. It did not work in Boston, and I have an opponent who refuses to acknowledge anything other than what she thinks is the right solution, which includes allowing the proliferation of homeless encampments by putting in a ban on sweeps. and will point to studies that sweeps cause more harm to the homeless. But what about the harm to calling themselves and others? What about the harm to quality of life for our neighbors? Those studies fail to address the violence and other crimes that often accompany large encampments. I support the city's effort. I support our quality of life team, and I support the process that do not ignore or outright dismiss the neighborhood's concerns.
30 seconds.
I believe that we can find solutions that both support neighbors' quality of life and treat those who, for no choice of their own, are living in uninhabitable places like encampments, like cars, families with children, people who, for no fault of their own, have been put in a position where they don't have a home. We have the ability to come back with solutions that I have been proposing, which is to make sure that we are not relocating homelessness from one corner of the city to another. That does not resolve homelessness,
Thank you, Attell.
regardless of what my opponent likes to tell us.
The next question is on public safety, and we'll start with Jose Rivera. The WPD is transitioning to a new chief of police. You have cited safety as one of your top priorities or top concerns for District 5. What would your priorities be for the new chief, and are there any specific policies you would propose to the council?
Well, I think right now the city manager is doing a great job on handling the situation with the turnover. And for me, I think accountability and transparency is very important. I like the direction that the acting chief, Salsi, is going in. He's being very transparent. He's putting everything out there. He has a new plan coming out that I heard of, and I'm very excited about that. And I think as long as we are 38 officers short right now. So having the right amount of officers is only going to help the growing population that we have in this city. The city's grown about 26,000 residents in the last 10 years, and we only have the same amount of officers from those years. And one of the issues that's going on is that I'm not asking the city to expand their budget, but I'm just saying don't defund the police. You know, we need to work with them. We need more foot on the ground. A safe city is an inviting city. Thank you.
Well, District 5 is a very safe district. In fact, in all the neighborhood community meetings that I attend with the police officers, they all tell us that District 5 has one of the lowest incidents of crime and or things that make residents feel unsafe. I met with Interim Chief Saucier. He extended an invitation. We had a really good meeting. We talked about his priorities around transparency, increasing accountability. We talked about mental health. We talked about DE&I priorities. We talked about the DOJ investigation and making sure that, as my priority as a district councilor, to make sure that those recommendations are followed and implemented by the city council and the city manager.
I just think that as long as the city council works with the department, we're going to have a better relationship with them than constantly vandalizing them, making it seem like they're always on the, doing something wrong in the city. And we need that good relationship with the police department because we want our kids, our future, to become police officers or to appreciate the police officer, respect the police officers. I think it's just only going to help the city.
The final question before closing statements will be for all candidates, and is around the city manager. The first respondent will be Jenny Pasillo. What measures will you use to determine whether the city manager is performing adequately in carrying out the policies and legislative priorities of the city council? Do you think the current city manager is performing effectively? Jenny Pasillo.
Thank you. So currently, city councilors have an evaluation form to use when measuring the performance. Generally, these evaluations are not super substantive or specific. I appreciate the city manager. He's always been open and transparent with me. We've had really great conversations, but there's always room for improvement, and the city manager and council should be challenged to do more. To measure the performance of the city manager, we should have a comprehensive framework that is accessible to residents, small businesses, and the administration alike, and just open it up with transparency and accessibility for everyone.
Dave Peterson.
I think there's two things that come to mind when I'm going to judge how City Manager Batista is performing. Number one is the city's bond rating, which is currently a AA, and that bond rating is important when we look at projects in District 1, like Burncoat High School and $500 million. And if our bond rating falls at all, we're not going to be able to get the interest rates that we need to get in order to build a $500 million school. Secondly, selfishly, what are you doing for District 1? Okay, that's really what district councilors are looking for the city manager to help with. Is he going to be responsive to the needs of the people on West Boylston Street and the homeless problem, the opioid problem that's on Lincoln Street right now, and the streets and sidewalks that need to get repaired all over the district? That's really selfishly where I would look. So one is a quantitative, one is a qualitative. I do think that he's doing a fine job right now.
Robert Bellotta.
So I think City Manager Batista is doing a good job. He's really, I think, brought some more community dialogue, which is great. I think the City Council, should continue to do key performance indicators and really focus on goals that are specific and measurable. But I agree with Jenny that he's been a good city manager, and I think it's just important that we continue to make sure that these goals are that all our districts. So these goals are including all of our districts, whether it's improving streets, improving street infrastructure, improving neighborhood plans. So I think we can continue to make sure that the city manager is on that path and continue to make sure that these goals are attainable.
Candy Merrill Carlson.
Yes, I think Eric Batista is doing a great job. I was one of the first people to come out to say, although I take that back, Council Russell was the first person to come out to support our city manager in hiring him. We do currently have an evaluation form, and again, for a district councilor in evaluating the city manager, it's about what has been done for me, for my residents in District 2, and are you doing what we need to do for the district? I think that those are the priorities, and that happens once a year for the city manager, and I think that on those evaluation forms, you can expand on that any way you wish to, and it's done on the floor, and again, this city council is elected to evaluate the city manager as well as hire him. Thank you.
Fiona Jatin Singh.
I think for evaluating the city manager, we need to have SMART goals. We need to have specific, actionable, measurable, timetable goals. And we should also evaluate on the orders that were requested, the reports that were requested, how many were received back, and then did he do the job that was requested of the city councilors? If we look at the numbers that he's done and it says he's done 90%, I would say that's a good job. But if we come back and look at all those specific goals and he hasn't met most of them, then we'll see. So I don't think the current evaluation process is as specific as it should be to be able to evaluate if he's doing a good job. Thank you.
George Russell.
I'll say up front that I think Eric's doing a good job. I really do. I think he listens to the people in the city. I think he listens to the neighborhoods. He listens to the employees. I think the employees that he surrounds himself around with him are folks that are reputable and work hard, and he makes a big effort to try and reach out to all parts of the community. The outreach that he's done with diversity has been amazing, I think, on simple things like the idea I came up with a 311 app for your smartphone to talk about trash. He took that idea and implemented it. Now people can just take a picture of any issue and it goes right into customer service. It's not, when we evaluate the city manager, we don't only evaluate the city manager, we evaluate all of city government because it's the manager's job to pick people and to run city government well, and I think he's doing a good job.
Katya Norford.
I'm a huge fan and believer of transparency and accountability. Sorry. For me, those are the two pillars of good corporate governance. I support the performance evaluation to improve public outcome and that way move our city forward for the betterment of our city. I believe our city manager, Eric Batista, has been doing a great job so far. He grew up in the city. I believe he cares about our city. We're not gonna agree all the time in different issues, but so far I believe he's doing the best as his knowledge that he is doing. Also reaching out to the businesses as myself, and I know many other businesses that he has been there, listen to what they want to say and compromise to us. So I believe we can give it a shot and definitely work together. And that's the beauty. We need to work together and get our better idea, bring up and bring our city in a better way. Thank you.
Luis Ojeda.
I believe you measure one's performance by what has been done to better our city and residents. I've seen him present at community meetings. He returns phone calls. He attends some of those tough meetings as well, those tough conversations. And I'm also sure it's not easy to work with 11 counselors that have serious concerns and needs. Okay. To measure his performance, we need to look at ourselves. We have to support him to see if we've supported him or not. I also agree that there is room for improvement. I believe we must uplift each other as counselors and also our city manager. Thank you.
Etel Hajiai.
The city manager and I have a very good relationship. We've gotten to know each other a lot, especially in the last few months. He's very clear, and I have been very clear with him that I will support his work. I want him to be successful. His success is our city's success. And I will also hold him accountable when need be. That's not a compromise for me. I do think the city evaluation needs some serious consideration. It's completely inaccessible. The residents that I've spoken to have no idea what it means. I personally, as a district councilor, laid out some priorities for the district during my evaluation. I'd like to do that in a more structured way, and I certainly look forward to having an evaluation that also resonates with the residents. I would like to hear what they like to hear from the city manager. I am ready to support Manager Batista, and I'm ready to hold him accountable when need be as well.
And finally, Jose Rivera.
There is a process for how the city manager is evaluated. We also have good tools, and I will follow that process. I will also use a clear set of deliverables and anticipated outcomes based on constituent input and my own observations and evaluations of the needs in District 5. I will meet regularly with the city manager, as councilors do, and in those sessions, we will regularly address and update this list. When the time comes to evaluate the city manager, there should be no surprises, no grandstanding. He should already know, based on all our one-on-one meetings, what my expectations were and how I feel he responded to them. This individual is our employee, and if there are any failures, they're as much as reflection on us as they are on him.
Thank you for your comments. We'll now give each candidate 1 minute for a closing statement, starting with Dave Peterson.
Some may say that the race in District 1 is going to come down to endorsements. I have received some endorsements. My opponent has received some endorsements. And I think that the one endorsement that means the most is that of the current city councilor in District 1, Sean Rose. He has endorsed my opponent. And yet, when I go door to door in District 1, there's a lot of people who haven't heard from him in the last 2 years. They have not gotten emails. They have not gotten phone calls back from him. They are frustrated. I said here at the beginning that my job is to get back to the constituent services. I take it seriously, okay? I don't take myself too seriously, but I take your needs too seriously, okay? I want to thank all the people that helped me prepare for this today, and I said earlier that I surround myself with people that have different beliefs so that I can hear both sides of an argument and form an opinion. And I want to thank all of those people that took the time to help me today to win this debate.
Jenny Pasillo.
Thank you. I'm here before you today as a candidate for City Council, not just seeking your support, but pledging to be your unwavering advocate. My journey has been rooted in hard work and empathy. Whether it was waitressing my way through college, starting a family, I understand the struggles of the middle class firsthand. As a mother, I understand the importance of family values and the quality of life we deserve. Our district thrives when families can flourish. Children receive the best education, and neighbors are bound by a sense of belonging. I vow to fight for policies that will uplift our families, prioritize good jobs, affordable housing, and a safe, clean environment. I'm not just a candidate, I'm your fellow resident. I want better sidewalks. I want people to slow down when they drive down Clark Street, and I want to help others. Together, we can shape a brighter future for District 1, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Candy Merrill Carlson.
Yes. So tonight, I'm asking for the residents of District 2 once again to re-elect me to the district that I've lived in almost all of my life. I'm very proud to say that for each and every one of the neighborhood groups, each and every one of the neighborhood groups know who I am. They have my personal cell phone. There is not a time that I am not there for our neighborhoods. For me, it is about the neighborhoods, and it's about the people in the neighborhoods and in District 2. So tonight, I sit here and humbly ask you once again to re-elect me to District 2. Thank you.
Robert Bellata.
Thank you. Really committed to the Worcester community. I've worked for over a decade as a disability advocate. I've served on 2 city commissions. I've been on the ground floor for several initiatives, whether it's Fare Free WRTA, inclusionary zoning. I really see the role of a city councilor. The role of a city councilor is to represent, serve, and empower our residents in our neighborhoods. That's what I'm really looking to do. I want to make sure that our residents in all of our neighborhoods can continue to thrive, and that we all have equal opportunities to live, learn, and work in Worcester. I humbly ask for your vote on Tuesday, November 7th. Thank you.
George Russell.
You know, being a district city councilor is half being a city councilor and half being a customer service agent that never gets to go home. And I've done a real good job at both, at being the city councilor that's been responsive to the people of the city of Worcester and to the district, and always being available, always calling people back. Obviously not able to do everything that every person ever wanted, but I'll always return your phone call, and I'll always be there for you. You know, all I ask is that you not only consider voting for me and listen to what I'm saying, but go to georgerussell.org, georgerussell.org, and look at the list of the 130 and counting neighborhood residents who have endorsed my candidacy, and call up any one of those people on that list and then some, and ask them why they're supporting me for my re-election. And I thank you for your attendance.
Fiana Jatin Singh.
I am not only a mother, I am a volunteer in the community. I volunteer in my church, I volunteer in the nursery, I volunteer at an alteration shop, I volunteer with the Kiwanis. I support my neighbors. You can talk to any of my friends. I have over 2,000 friends on Facebook. You can talk to any of my friends, and you can talk to them about how I have helped them and they've helped me. We work with each other. We pray for each other. I've helped build a school in Kenya with one of my neighbors in my North Carolina neighborhood where I grew up. I have done a lot of things for a lot of people, and I look forward to being a leader in Worcester because we need better leadership. We have a failing bus system. We have failing infrastructure. We have lack of transparency. We have misrepresentation in the Parks Department. We have so many problems that need proper leadership. And I grew up as a member of FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, in high school. I was the regional vice president my junior year in high school of FBLA. That's something we should also have in this city. So if you vote for me, you will get proper leadership, you will get representation, you will get a volunteer, and you will get an advocate. Please vote for me November 7th. And I have to use the bathroom, so I'm running.
Luis Ojeda.
Throughout this journey, I've gained valuable insights into the priorities for developing the growth and betterment of District 4. My approach has been about meeting with residents, business owners, and school administrators at various levels to address concerns raised by the community. I've also collaborated with law enforcement and healthcare agencies to explore innovative solutions for resource distribution within our neighborhoods. Community involvement has been my focal point, with neighborhood meetings, successful block parties, and neighborhood cleanup initiatives that have residents reaching out to help after our most recent cleanup. For 3 consecutive years, our sports business has centered on building a sense of community, sparking meaningful conversations, and encouraging residents to enjoy their neighborhoods. Our partnership with the Pleasant Street TDI has showcased the transformative effects of investing in people and places that hold significance for the community. As a resident deeply rooted in Worcester, I've developed relationships that grant me access to places and discussions that may have been otherwise inaccessible. In closing, I recognize that the role of a city councilor is a continuous learning process, and I'm committed to that journey. My pledge is to adapt, pivot, and persist in advocating for the betterment of District 4 in Worcester. I humbly seek your vote on or before November 7th. Thank you.
Katya Norford.
Again, District 4 has given me the opportunity to become an entrepreneur, homeowner, and raise my family. My primary thing is the quality of life of District 4, and not District 4, the whole city. We need to have a better quality of life. I'm willing and I'm committed to listen, addressing the concern of our community. I want to learn firsthand what is issue and more important to my contingencies so that I can best serve as a representative. Together we can work and achieve a better life here in Worcester, and especially District 4. Again, I'm part of many associations, Main South CDC, Main South Business Association, Main South Neighborhood Beacon Briley. I'm also part of the PTO of Woodland. I'm also work and being advocated at my church. So I don't want to work, I'm already working. So please, vote for me November 7th. Thank you.
Yeah. Jose Rivera.
This is one of the most important elections in Worcester's history. I believe the city is moving in the right direction. If you want continued progress, believe it can be done collaboratively, respectfully, and it doesn't mean us versus them, I ask for your vote. If you want someone whose actions right out of the gate will put District 5 clearly at the forefront, who will always listen to you no matter where your politics lie, I ask for your vote. I will support public safety. I will work to create more affordable housing, but I will not support abolishing single-family zoning. I will work collaboratively with the administration and our community partners to find permanent homeless solutions, but I will not support any measures that would increase homelessness in our parks or in our private property. I will treat my colleagues with respect. I will be a voice of reason and common sense. I will fight for District 5, and I will fight for you. Thank you.
Etel Haxihai.
Thank you. Local elections have major consequences. I have run a positive and thoughtful campaign focused on listening to the challenges our residents face, as well as listen to their hopes and dreams for our district. I have led with thoughtfulness, care, integrity, and a commitment to supporting all neighborhoods, from Webster Square to Salisbury Street. District 5 deserves better than the toxic tone of this election, which neither builds community nor serves our residents. I have tried my best to rise above the harassment, attacks, lies, and public errors thrown at me, simply because I want to solve issues with thoughtfulness and a commitment to everyone's safety and well-being. I have tried really, really hard to set a good example for my boys about what being a good public servant is all about. District 5 deserves a city councilor whose values and work reflect and bring out the best in all of us. I ask you to vote for the person you trust is the most prepared to lead with care, thoughtfulness, and experience.
Thank you, Etel.